back in the seat for the O Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, CW. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure to hit that bell on YouTube and subscribe to the podcast on any and all platforms. Today, we're talking about the Women's Tag Team Championship. Just in general, what a strange and controversial set of titles the women's tag belts are. What a great addition for the women to have the tag belts in general. And I still advocate for the women having their own workhorse / mid-card title. They need an intercontinental championship. I don't know. I still don't know what you would call it. There's so many great name opportunities out there, but whatever the belt is, I think they need a new championship for other women to battle for. The fact that Rhea Ripley is champ and not taking anybody on, I think they're setting up a match with Raquel after she dropped the tag belts, which is why I'm doing this episode. But besides Rhea's title and the tag belts, and I guess we'll call the heavyweight. No, Rhea has the heavyweight. The WWE Championship, Women's Championship, is on SmackDown, and that's Asuka, who is, I think someone wrote on Cage Side Seats, if you like that website, shout out to them. They wrote that Asuka is the least interesting person in her own feud, and it's true. I think Bianca and Charlotte are taking the spotlight away from Asuka, and she's just the prop holding the belt. But I digress. The Women's Tag Team Championships have passed hands once again from Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez to Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville, who honestly deserve the titles. They've been doing a lot of great work as this heel tag team. I think they were trying to get their name over as Complaint Department or something, but that lasted like a week. But they have been doing great work. Chelsea Green came back and, stole the spotlight, honestly. She was there for weeks just complaining, and now she's just there for weeks doing hot matches with Deville. And Sonya Deville's finally getting some shine. She's been a mainstay on the roster for so long. She was, holding it down for the women's division, and now she's getting her due as champ. But I question the validity of these women's tag team championships for a number of reasons. We could talk about the fact that Trinity and Sasha Banks dropped the titles and left the company because of decisions made, I think, for the title. I'm not 100% sure. I don't think any of us are 100% sure why they left, but we can only assume it was because of the titles. Originally, Sasha Banks and Bayley had to drop the titles, and there was a whole dust up about that. It seems like these titles are always in like the spotlight for either getting passed around fairly quickly or having some sort of controversy attached to them. I'm not saying there's any controversy attached to them right now. And again, I honestly think that Sonya and Chelsea Green having the titles is a good thing. Those titles need to be on heels. They need to motivate the rest of the women's tag team division to, step up their game. And I honestly hope that this team becomes very dominant. But I would say that I wish more women's tag teams were dominant in general. Like, there's not a ton of them to begin with. And the ones that we do have tend to take pins way earlier than they should. The NXT champions, tag team champions that had their titles rolled into the women's tag team championships, which is confusing. They lost, so they don't feel like a contender anymore. I think Indy Hartwell came up and she recovered from injury and then took a pin in the tag team gauntlet match. It was a Katana Chance, and I never remember this other lady's name. I apologize. But they've lost quite a few matches where they were dominant in NXT and they came up and they're just getting pinned. My point is, there's not a lot of competition for Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville with these tag titles. And I don't have faith that they'll hold it for very long. And I'm not exactly sure if there are any stories to be told with there are tons of stories to be told with the tag titles. I don't know if the WWE will. I think that's a big issue in the women's division in general that they're trying to rectify, but there aren't a ton of stories attached to these titles. The Asuka thing, like I said, she's become a prop holding this title while Bianca and Charlotte figure out who's going to get to take her on for the title. Rhea Ripley just kind of menacingly walks around and then kind of decimates people in her path. So they're trying to set Raquel up as the next challenger for the title. But I don't see her beating Rhea for that anytime soon. And then after that, we're back to square one of, well, who takes on Rhea Ripley for that title? And then, like I said, the women's division, everyone's been taking so many L's and these titles have been passed back and forth so many times. There's no motivation for, there's no motivation. There's no team that I can see or think of that Sonya and Chelsea either can't beat or haven't already beat, whether it be in that gauntlet tag team match or just in general. So that being said, they have to attach some sort of story to these titles, and it's always easier to do that when the tag team holder is a heel. Like I said, when babyfaces win titles, it's the culmination of their climb to the top. They're, overcoming adversity. The heel is using heel tactics to make them lose. They pick themselves up by their bootstraps. They end up at WrestleMania and they win the tag team championships. Yay! And then you get into a situation where you're KO and Sami Zayn now, the current men's unified tag team champions, and it's dull. It's very stale. They don't have it. They don't have that heel appeal, right? The Usos were incredibly great tag team champions because they were not only, the longest reigning champions, but they were heels. So they got to get the rub from the bloodline. They got to have a little bit more fun in their matches. There's just, you can have more fun being a heel. But Sami Zayn and KO don't have a story right now, really. They're kind of messing around with the Judgment Day, but then they're also with Pretty Deadly, and they're just kind of floating back and forth between the shows, being tag champs. And I feel like that's what's going to happen to the women's tag team champions too. They're just going to kind of float between the shows and not really get any momentum on, having a feud or anything. But the women's division just needs more stories, honestly. They're trying with Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus, which is getting to the point where they're pulling some teeth with that one. But at least there's a story to be told, or at least they're trying to tell a story there. So hopefully this women's tag team championships get some sort of story around it, and treat it with a little bit more reverence, because right now the gold doesn't feel important because they pass that title around so often. Like, whoever pins Roman Reigns for his title is getting a huge rub, but I don't think anyone winning those women's tag team championships are getting any sort of elevation from those titles. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know, because they said it was going to be Liv and Raquel, and Liv got hurt, but then they became transitional tag team champions just as quickly when Liv came back. So the titles have passed from, Ronda and Shayna to Liv and Raquel, and now on Raw it's passed to Sonya and Chelsea Green. And for all we know, they might drop the titles on SmackDown because there just isn't a story attached to these belts. But I hope they treat them with respect moving forward. Anyway, what do you guys think of the women's tag team championships? Let me know, and don't you ever forget,
I'm your friend, but if I ever see you in the ring, I can beat you. Don't you know? Yeah, yeah, yeah.